So welcome to this new session. Today we are dealing with lesson number 6 of module number 4, Urban Exodus. Let's start. So first of all, it is very important to make the difference between two keywords in this lesson. The two keywords are urban and rural. Urban relates to towns or cities, whereas rural relates to the area that is located outside towns and cities, namely the countryside. So now that we have defined the word urban, let's try to get the meaning of the title of the lesson, which is Urban Exodus. So we call urban exodus the movement of people from the city, so they get out of the city, to the countryside. And the aim is to settle there. So urban exodus is the movement from the city to the countryside to settle there. The word exodus is a Latin word. In English, its equivalent is the word exit. So it's about leaving the city and getting into the countryside. So the question is, what pushes people to leave the city? In order to answer this question, we need to list the drawbacks of city life. So let's try to label these pictures and find out about the drawbacks of life in the city. Picture number 1 on the right here is about noise. Noise is one major problem that we find in the cities. The second picture is about insecurity and crimes. You know that in cities there is a high rate of crimes. Picture number 3 is obviously about pollution. With factories, the pollution rate is very important in cities. Now, picture number 4 here is about traffic jam. Picture number 5 is about cities being overcrowded. And all these drawbacks actually lead to stress, which is represented in picture number 6. So we can say that noise, pollution, insecurity, overcrowded cities, traffic jam, and stress lead many people to leave the city and settle in the countryside. Despite the fact that life in the countryside looks like the perfect solution for people who left their cities, there are some advantages and some drawbacks to this decision. Let's check them out. First, the advantages. A higher rate of life expectancy. People in the countryside live longer because they are way healthier than those who live in the city. Number 2, a sense of community between the inhabitants. They have a more socially vibrant or energetic life. Number 3, a clean air and a better quality of water because there is less pollution. Number 4, a clean environment and an ecologically healthy atmosphere. And finally, less traffic equals less noise. Now, what about the drawbacks? Certainly, the countryside is not as fun as the city. There are fewer means of entertainment in the countryside, fewer means of transport as well, fewer amenities, the bad quality of streets and infrastructures, and finally, boredom and lack of stimulation. Now let's read together the following email. Dear Kate, I write you this letter to tell you that I am extremely worried. In fact, my husband decided that we move to the countryside to take care of the family business there. Although life in the village is calmer and less overwhelming than the city, I cannot get used to the idea of settling there. Despite my disapproval, My husband still wants to maintain his decision. I am utterly confused. Help, Vanessa. So obviously this is an email that you could expect in an exam paper. You could be asked to write a letter of advice to Kate. But today we're not going to focus on the ideas, but rather on the grammar point highlighted in this email. Now let's focus on the following sentences. Although life in the village is calmer and less overwhelming than the city, I cannot get used to the idea of settling there. Despite my disapproval, my husband still wants to maintain his decision. The first question is, how many parts are there in each sentence? There are actually two parts. This is part 1 in sentence 1, and this is part 2. Despite my disapproval, part 1, my husband still wants to maintain his decision is part 2. What we notice is that the ideas in part 1 are in contrast with the ideas in part 2. That's why we call although and despite linkers of concessions. The only difference between despite and although is that despite is followed by, usually by a noun or a gerund or a pronoun, whereas although is followed by a subject and a verb. Let's try to do some practice. Fill in the blanks with despite or although. You have to look at the part that follows although or despite and decide which one we are going to use. So we have, it rained a lot, we enjoyed our holiday. So here we have a subject and a verb. So obviously the one we are going to use is although. And we read, although it rained a lot, we enjoyed our holidays. Now here, all our careful plans. Do we have a subject? Do we have a verb? No. So we need to use despite. So despite of all our careful plans, a lot of things went wrong. Sentence number 3. I went home early. I was feeling unwell. Here we have a subject and a verb. So we're going to use although. She accepted the job. The salary, we have a noun here, the salary, so we are going to use despite and not although. She accepted the job despite the salary, which was rather low. I managed to get to sleep. There was a lot of noise. There was subject and a verb, so we use although. What we also notice is that although and despite can appear at the beginning of the sentence or in the middle of the sentence. Now this is your homework for next time. I want you to write a 4-line paragraph about urban exodus. This paragraph should include the definition, the advantages, and some of the disadvantages of urban exodus. Don't forget to use all the prompts. Good luck, and please do not hesitate to send me your work. Thank you very much I will see you next time for a new lesson. Bye.